Hello comrades, the Honey Badger here. I was eager to make this guide for quite some time, but I tried searching online for the proper information and sadly I couldn't find any that I can make an ultimate guide on. So I went directly to the source and emailed the developer. And I got a response, nudging me into the right direction to continue my research. Before moving forwards, I want to thank Peter, one of the developers of this game, for all of the help he has been offering me, as I couldn't do this guide without him. Moreover, I'm not one that usually begs for subs at the beginning, but we're so close to 1000 subs and just 8.7% of you are subscribed. So make sure you hit that subscribe button to stay up to date with more guides or playthroughs for this game. Anyway, in the classic style of my guides, let's see the topics. How tourists get into your republic. What are the tourist needs? What is the attraction score? How to increase the attraction score? What is the pricing score and how it affects both your citizens and tourists? What profits to expect from tourism? And the last topic, what's the most optimal setup for tourism? So, how do you get tourists to enter and exit your republic? Firstly, you need to research visas for them. This can be done at the headquarters of communist parties for tourism analysis, hotels, then the visas for both nations, and then you can do some advertising too in order to increase the number of tourists. Soviet tourists will pay with rubles. The NATO tourists or Western country tourists will pay with dollars. They can enter via the border, via bus or train, a passenger ship, or via the airways. The airways is the best one to use. Reasoning being that the tourist numbers from the tourists tab is a global number. That means that it encapsulates all tourists from the borders, from the airways, and from the passenger ships. Now, tourists, when they come to your republic, they will come with a random amount of cash willing to spend, denoted by the budget, and a random amount of days willing to stay in your republic. And these values are completely random. They do not get impacted by anything. However, the amount of tourists that wish to enter your republic is decided by the overall trip score. We're going to discuss about this later down the line. This has been already confirmed by Peter in the support email. Here's the proof. Let's talk about your tourist needs. Tourists, whilst in your republic, will demand food, alcohol, electronics, sports, culture, church, and attractions to visit. Now, let's start discussing about the attraction score. The attraction score is the expected rating your tourist building has. It's used to calculate in the end the overall trip score or average trip rating. For example, you have a tourist spending one day in your republic. Let's assume in this day he stays at your hotel of score 4.5, eats once at your hotel of score 4.5, then drinks alcohol in one of your cafe bars of score 4.1, and then buys electronics from a small store. Now, the final trip score is calculated as hotel staying 4.5, hotel eating 4.5, drinking at the bar 4.1, and visiting the electronics store, which gives 0. That's a total of 13.1. Now we need to divide this number by the number of visits the tourist did. He did a total of 4 visits. Therefore, it's 13.1/4 means 3.2. Basically, this will be your average final trip score. Now, if he didn't have to buy electronics, then it would have been divided by 3, which gives a score of 4.3 out of 5. Slightly more than 1 star of profit. just by making sure that your tourists don't visit attractions with no score. That's why it's important to keep your tourists away from small stores or attractions that have no score. Now, you might be wondering, what's a trip score good for? The trip score is the only thing that decides the number of tourists that want to enter your republic. It doesn't do anything more. Therefore, the trip score is only important mid to late game when you are able to max out the amount of tourists you have per month using multiple hotels. Also, it's perfectly fine at the beginning when you have 1 or 2 hotels to just leave the tourists lying in there with no other attraction. They will be 100% dissatisfied, but they will produce money. Very little, but they still produce. You should focus on increasing the overall trip score once you've made sure you have filled all your hotels. Now let's discuss about the next topic, ways to increase or decrease the final attraction score. But firstly, let's discuss about the attraction types you got. You got the gallery, which is an attraction type. Then you got the carousel with all of its variants. Then you got museums with all of its variants. Then you got pools and beaches with all of its variants. The side tower with all of its variants. The zoo. And finally, the last weird one is the theater. Basically, I couldn't find any link to the theater as being a attraction, but it does have a rating. So there's no category for this one. Now, each day, your tourists will want to visit a new attraction. If you don't have all of them built, that's perfectly fine. However, tourists will not visit the same exact attraction type multiple days in a row. They need to firstly forget about it. You will want tourists to visit as many attractions as possible and spend as much money as possible. So don't go off building just 4 different museums. No, have one of each type: a museum, a carousel, ports and beaches, a side tower, etc. I'm going to include the attraction forgetness in the next table that I'll share. Moreover, attractions can be used by your own citizens to fill their needs too. In the tables that I'll share, I'll include the column citizens need. This is what it stands for. Also, there is a rumor you can remove church need by including attractions in your town. There is some truth there, but for the wrong reasons. The church is an attraction need. Whenever you have multiple attractions in your city, the chance of getting the church need jumps from 1 of 1, 100% chance, to 1 of how many different attractions you got in your city. If you got all 7 attractions, then the church need drops to just 14% chance of appearing instead of 100% chance. Similar thing happens to tourists that want electronics and church. Both of the needs are considered attractions for them, therefore you can rarefy their occurrence in a similar fashion as we did for our citizens. Let's discuss now about attraction score. Each building has a default attraction score. This attraction score increases or decreases depending on a few factors. Namely, you can increase or decrease the attraction score by elevation. It jumps to 4.3 on the hilltop versus 3.1 at the bottom of the hill. Then you can increase it by nature. If I have more trees around, it will increase the attraction even more. Also, water increases the attraction. If I build a side tower near water, it has an attraction of 2.5. If I build it outside, it's 2.3. And the final one, which you shouldn't care about, but if you have pollution in your city, that will also affect the attraction. If you got pollution, your tourists are your last worry. Moreover, these factors can be multiplicative, which adds a small increase, or additive, which adds a huge bump in the final score. For the math-obsessed guys, check the Steam link in the description together with the spreadsheet over here. For normal people, well, I'll just simplify the spreadsheet. Let's also discuss about how pricing score works and its effects on your citizens, not only tourists. Now, as Peter mentioned in the email, pricing is quite difficult to calculate. He did share with me this piece of code that does the pricing. Well, I can start explaining it to you, but you need to know coding. And it's overkill. I assume you just want to get done with this guide and apply it to your republic. By all means though, don't let me stop you from taking this subject in the comment section. You're more than encouraged to do so. I'll also pin it if I see it gets traction. However, pricing does not only affect the amount of cash your tourists spend in your republic, but it affects the building's attraction score and, wait for it, this is going to amaze you as I had no clue about this, the amount of your citizens the building can accommodate. At a price level of 1, it will mean that the building can be used at 100% by your local citizens and none of the slots are reserved for your tourists. First come, be it a citizen or a tourist, first served. If you're too late, just get back to the line. A price level of 3 means that 50% of your slots in the building is only reserved for tourists. Your locals will not go to this attraction if they accidentally overfill it. Of course, if you don't have any tourists or as many tourists to overfill the location, your locals will still keep on using the attraction. Just that tourists take now top priority for 50% of the slots. So your pleb civilians go back to the line once a tourist arrives. At price level of 5, it means that 100% of the slots are solely reserved for tourists. None of your citizens will go to have fun in said building if it's in danger of being overfilled. Similarly, whenever a tourist enters your building, it won't wait in the line, it will skip it and go to the front of the line. So, what profits to expect from tourism? The profits from tourism currently feel very overpowered. I started to max out hard Siberia challenges. One, which I got on my channel here, I'll link it at the end. And I'm rocking profits between 10,000 and 20,000 rubles per month. The profits over here don't seem that much because I'm trying a challenge where I don't take any loans to build up my republic. So yeah, the restaurant and the cafe bar are not yet done. However, in my private playthrough, the range is indeed between 30 and 60k per month, as you can see over here. Let's discuss about the most optimal setup. From my point of view, you should treat your tourism area as an industry. Namely, build it at a distance from your city. Now, the distance ranges between 150 to 400 meters, depending on which type of roads you're building. In short, make sure your citizens do not reach by foot or as passengers the attractions. Reasoning being that mid-game, to profit off the large amounts of tourists, you are going to need to play with the pricing level and to lower it until you reach the desired amount of tourists your hotel can handle. As mentioned in topic 5, the lower the pricing level, the more room for citizens and less room for tourists. Now, when it comes to locations, try mountains. as most buildings modify their attraction score based on height, then nature, and barely afterwards water. And also a no-brainer, keep your tourism area away from any pollution. One more tip. Once you've built the panorama restaurant or the cafe bar, make sure you don't deliver food and drinks to your hotels anymore, as these two will have higher profits if tourists go to them instead to drink and eat instead of sitting inside the hotel. And that covers everything you need to know about tourism. Hope this helps and it made you a more experienced dictator. Now, before you go and upgrade your republics, please take 10 seconds to subscribe to the channel. And hey, let's make a meme. Let's all say thank you to Peter in the comment section, as this couldn't have been possible without his help. So, thank you, Peter. And until next time, I'm the Honey Badger, and I'm out.